I'd show you how to make rainbows. At the moment, rainbows have become a symbol for facing positively the challenges that the coronavirus brings. And I made a rainbow for myself yesterday, posted it on Facebook, and lots of people have said, would you make me one? And I'm making them, but I'm only selling them for charity because I don't want to profit out of things about other people suffering. Anyway, so I'll show you what I've done so far, and I'll show you the technique of how I'm making rainbows. Okay, so here are my 4 pieces of glass which will become sun catchers, and as you can see, I've already created the first 2 bands of my rainbow. So I've used Frit that's going to turn red in the kiln here. Now I don't have any transparent orange Frit, I've only got opal Frit. Transparent Frit will allow the colours to come straight through, as in stained glass. Opal is a bit more, it doesn't shine clear, it creates a solid colour, but it's the only orange Frit that I've got, so I've put slightly less of that in because of that characteristic. So I'll show you how I've created the arches in a moment using the lid of a Frit pot. It's quite easy. Anyway, back in a second. Anyway, here's my lid, here's the yellow Frit, and what I'm going to do is, if I can get this right, is I'm going to put some Frit in a line across the middle of my would-be sun catchers. So now I'm going to take the lid and I'm going to place the lid on the piece of glass, and I'm going to push the Frit lines together. So that, and I'm going to make sure that I get it all up into that nice pattern. So I'll just show you again. So you take the lid and you push the Frit line up with the lid, and the lid itself creates the shape. So I'm going to go and finish those off now and tidy them up a little bit by knocking off the excess Frit, and then I'll show you what it looks like before it goes in the kiln when I've put all the colours in. Using a brush to brush all the remainder of the Frit up, and maybe even some cotton buds to get rid of any rogue bits of Frit. That's because if you don't do that, then your lines are going to become muddier. They're already going to be pretty muddy, but they'll become muddier than they are when it's completed. As you can see, I've got to the stage of adding the light blue, so that doubles for ordinary blue, and then I'll put indigo and violet in. Now, I don't know whether you can see, but the strip is a couple of mil deep, and it's about a centimetre wide. So that's the amount of Frit that you need in order to make a reasonable rainbow. It will be a bit thick, but I liked the effect that I got with this before. The rainbow complete, I realised that the yellow doesn't look very yellow and the purple doesn't look very purple. In the case of the purple, it's because it's a striker and it will change colour when it fires. Now, people have asked for hearts underneath, so I'm going to add those in pink. Cranberry pink. It will look very different to this when it's fired. It's transparent medium cranberry pink. Ideally, I'd much rather use a finer texture than this, but this is all I've got at the moment. So those don't look like hearts at the minute, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Stanley knife blade to shape them up and to give them the heart shape. You'll notice that I haven't used any glass tack here. That's because if I used glass tack when I was making the rainbows, bits would have got stuck and transferred onto each other. So you could theoretically add a bit of glass tack on the top if you wanted, or they were going to stand around for a while, but you can manage this project without glue. Here's my Stanley blade. So now what I'm going to do, this is incredibly hard when you're doing it holding a phone in your other hand, but never mind. So I'm just shaping the heart shape now, trying to keep it away from the very edge if I can. So that's roughly a sort of heart shape. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to round it off, and I'm going to dig into the middle with the blade and make it exaggerated because bits always fly all over the place. And so that'll give me a sort of heart shape, and I'll just tidy up those edges now. Okay, and there you have it, the finished article. I'm going to put these in the kiln. I'm going to tack fuse them using a preset program on my scut. Those of you that have got your own kilns know what to do. So I'm going to use a slightly lengthier hold and ever so slightly hotter to give it a nice glossy finish. Now I know that some bits of the, before I make it, that some bits of this frit are going to go completely liquid at that state. That's more likely the blues and the greens. At the red end they'll probably stay a little bit separate, which isn't not, it's quite an interesting effect. But anyway, so I'll put these in the kiln now, and then I will show you the results when they come out at the other end. Okay, so here they are, all lined up in my little scut. I added another 2 to the mix, so this one and this one are made with slightly different frits because it's about what I had, and I've decided to use the leftover frit to make rainbow hearts. So let's just see how those turn out. Okay, so we now have a 5-hour wait. Well, here it goes. Here's the 6 rainbow hearts that I've made, and they're just cooling off in the kiln now. I've got to wait another couple of hours.